Hello. The following video is going to introduce you to our fire and EMS reporting system software. We're going to take a tour through the software and then we'll take a deep dive into the different tools, functions, and abilities of the system. Keep in mind that there's going to be periodic changes to this system. Usually they're minor. To the formatting, this is current as of October of 2023. So where we're going to start, if you look up here, and pardon my highlighted large mouse, I just want to make sure you can track along with me. If you look at the top here, you will notice that I have two tabs open. I'm going to talk to you about the difference in this run form login and this sign in. So one of these is the blue one right here. This is called Elite Field. This is the EMS reporting software that will be used in the field on our GTech computers to complete EMS reports. This orange sign in is going to take you to really the control center of ImageTrend Elite. And this is primarily where you will do your NIFers. So one easy way to think about this that I try to tell people is the color blue is generally associated with EMS. You can use blue as EMS and fire is orange. So those are two things that you can utilize. So pardon me, I'm just kind of going through this as I make this video. So if I repeat myself on anything, forgive me. But where we're at here is this is going to be web-based. You must have an internet connection to sign into Elite. Elite Field can be signed into, and what will happen is everything will save locally on the device you're using until you reach an internet connection, at which time it will sync with the entire system. This is similar function to most EMS reporting field systems. So where we're going to start here is with Elite Field. And this is, again, the EMS reporting software. This is the sign-in page. I will show you really quickly the desktop icons. Forgive my messy desk here, but these two right here, these are the desktop icons that you will find in on the computers, excuse me. So when you open it up on your GTAC in the Medic, you will come up with this screen. And you will not have your username and password preloaded like mine, but you will sign in. And you will come to this screen. So, a couple things. I am doing this from my home computer in my home office. So this device, my personal computer, has not been used for field reporting. So you'll notice all of this over here is blank. All of this will hold memory to the last changes made. So what that means for you, if you're coming into work, you are going to see yesterday's crew. And this information down here should not change. Well, excuse me, let me back up. This is your unit and whatever medic you are on. It will say medic 171, 172, 173. And this is the unit day. This does need change. So we're going to go through and fill all this out. And this medical device right here, this is going to be your Zoll monitor for importing data. So the first thing that we need to do is add some crew members. So just for demonstrative purposes, I'm going to select Isaac here. And we're going to put him on. And there would normally be 2 or 3 if you're at 172's names here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to clear this field. So we're going to remove yesterday's crew and we're going to add us. Okay, so if I am writing in charge of the medic that day, I'm going to select my name. I'm going to select in charge at the scene, in charge transport. Hit OK. We're going to pick a partner for me. Brody Dill. That should pre-populate. I'll have to look into why that didn't pre-populate, but most of the time your level, which full-timers are all paramedics, it would populate that automatically. And I'm going to select him in the role of driver, response and transport, and he was also a provider at the scene. So we're going to select that. So now we have our crew set for the day. Again, this would already be preset, but since my personal computer has not ever been used, there's nothing there. So you don't have to worry about changing that. Now, food for thought. You will need to change this in the event that computers go down and we need to shift devices amongst ambulances. So if we need to move Medic 171's GTAC to Medic 173 for some reason, we would need to change this because this will be your unit in the report and it also syncs with this medical device. So, and this, I work on 1 unit, so we're going to pretend this was set to 3 unit. Again, it holds memory. So the last information was, if you remember Isaac, he worked on 3 unit. I'm going to change this now to 1 unit. It is important that you do this. This is a very big data collection point for us. So this is something that is, I don't want to say all the time, but it is not uncommon for this to be missed. So please pay attention to that. And then again, down here, you shouldn't have to change this. Medic 171 has Medic 171 Zoll monitor. This has the ability similar to the device. We can change this. If Medic 171 Zoll monitor goes out and we needed to borrow Medic 173's, we just change that. And this goes into play for the default in uploading data. So now you look like this on the left-hand side. Good, you are ready for your day. So let's go through an incident. So there are different views here. You can use obviously it's not changing views because there's nothing there, but you can look at thumbnails. It's my personal opinion. I prefer a list. I would say most people usually leave it in list view, and we're going to hit new incident. So much like most EMS reporting systems, we are flagged red for information that needs to be filled out in order to complete this. There are different requirements for different patient dispositions. So if you see when we select they were treated and transported, a whole lot more just showed up over here. So we are going to go through a treated and transported just because it does require the most information, and I want to make sure that the most information gets out to you in this training video. So where do we start? A lot of times we won't even start with this because we don't know, and a lot of people have a habit of jump starting this report on the way to a run. So your incident number, it is pre-populated with F23. That is the default first 3 characters of Columbus Fire's CAD system's run number. So F is just what they use. I don't know if that means fire or whatever. 23 is obviously the year. So at midnight on January 1st, we will change this to F24. So a lot of people will start with this. This will be right on your run card. And we're going to just make up a number here. The dispatch complaint, obviously you know what you were dispatched on. Location type, if you know this on the way, which most of the time you do. Single family residence, you have options of workplace, apartment, if it's on the street, if an auto accident, different things. Then we've also put in some things that are, I don't want to say not common, but they are unique to our area, and we wanted to make sure we have them. We have a military base. We have, what else? A casino. And I thought there was another, somewhere there's another, something really unique to us. It doesn't matter. So we selected, we're going to select single family residence. You obviously know the address where you are going. And then down here, now this is going to be a whole nother training topic for you. We at Hamilton Township are in a very unique area that is very cut up and dissected between different jurisdictions and government control. So there is a lot of things that maybe seem obvious that are not what they seem. So for this particular purpose, we're just going to select OBETs. So now we have all of this done with the exception of we don't know what we're doing with them yet. So the rest of this stuff, let me show you what this means. Now, crew info, right? This is the information we put in. It pre-populated. Delays, something that is not commonly used but could be used. If there is a delay for any reason that delayed you getting to the scene, We obviously want to record that just to be as accurate as possible. Again, very, very rare that this page is ever used. Unit info. Once again, pre-populated from our home login screen. We pre-populated all of this stuff. We know that we respond, so we pre-populate lights and sirens, all of these things. Unscheduled, we are 911. We are not a private facility that would do, scheduled transfers. So all of this stuff is pre-populated. Now, is there ever a time that maybe you don't go lights and sirens to a run? There is. But I will tell you that this is inconsequential, and I wouldn't worry too much about going in and saying, well, we didn't respond on that, so let's take that away. Now, it's okay just to leave that the way it is. So, again, there's that unit info, and here we go to other unit info. This is important to document accurately, and this is who was on this run with us. Now, oftentimes it's just you. You would select none. Were we first on the scene? So this is where my next 2 or 3 steps maybe might not make much sense. Just know that this is how we had to build it to make the function work the way we needed it to. So when we select none, let's go back to when we select none, you'll notice that this popped up on scene. Were we first on scene? Okay. Well, that's not even an appropriate question because we said we're all by ourselves. So it will not allow you to select yes or no. Notice it's still red. When it asks this question, we need to select not applicable. And this only, we had to make this work, and I will show you. When we select another truck was with us, now we want to know, were we first? Yes. And then we want, and this is for continuity of reporting, we need to know who is generating the NIFRS report for this run. So let's talk a moment about NIFRS. This is something that is reported to the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio in turn reports it to the National Fire Incident Reporting System. Every run that we have gets reported to NIFRS, whether it's a fire or EMS run. So this now begs the question, if we had 2 pieces of equipment on this run, which one of you is doing this NIFRS report? We get 1 NIFRS report per incident, not per truck. I am aware that there are still some departments out there that may generate 2 NIFRS for 2 trucks on 1 run. That is an old school way of padding numbers. That is not a practice that we are in. So 1 NIFRS per incident, whether it was 1 truck or all trucks. So it has been commonly accepted at Hamilton Township that if it is an EMS run, the medic will handle the NIFRS report. And it is very simple, and you will see that when we get there. So 9 times out of 10, or probably 9.9 out of 10, this unit, I'm doing the NIFRS report. Now, pay attention to the left-hand side here. That NIFRS is not there. As soon as I hit, I'm going to do the NIFRS, it is now going to require me to do the NIFRS before I can complete this report. That is so that we ensure that it gets done. Okay? So let's back up just a bit. Now, where this can get tricky is in this scenario. We are Medic 171. Who came on this run with us? Medic 172. So now I just told you that the medic is going to do the NIFRS. Well, now which medic? This is the one scenario where this is going to require you to communicate. You need to get in charge, or get a hold of Medic 172 before, probably fairly close to when the run ends, and just say, hey, who's doing the report, you or me? So with that being, there are some other safeguards in case that doesn't happen, that they don't get duplicated. Our system will only allow for 1 run number. Once this gets duplicated, it will not allow you to do another NIFRS with that run number. So that is a safeguard in case that happens. Where were we? This doesn't happen very much, but it does happen. So just be aware of that. 2 medics on the run, us and them. We need to figure out who's doing this. Now, when it is our engine and our medic, again, it is commonly accepted. The medic is going to handle this NIFRS. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. We are all good here. We're all blue in this column, except here, all we're missing, we're still still on the way there. We don't know what they're doing with them. So we're there, and let's do our thing. We do our assessment. We decide they're going to be transported. We go do our thing, and then we are done with the run, and we are going to do our report. So we're going to select we treated, and we transported them. Now, not only are all these blue, the whole header of the tab is blue. That is complete. So now we come down to patient info. Again, here's standard demographics, male. We do have a find repeat patient. Okay, you can search by name, address, all of the things. My personal opinion, I usually go by the address, so I will just type in the first 4, and if I'm not sure, okay, no results were found, that means we've never done a report, at least not in this system's memory capacity to recall that there is somebody at an address of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but if there are, it'll pop up and you can select it, and it will it'll fill out all of the information that we have collected in the past for that patient. But if there is none, you just come back here and you start filling out information. Social Security number. This is important. It makes the billing process far more streamlined. We need to obtain socials if we can. Just know that you can obtain them from hospital registration most of the time if you can't get it from the patient himself. If you are if you are unable to obtain a Social Security number, the appropriate way to fill this field is all 9s. So we will do that. Date of birth and race. We are now, again, blue in the demographics. Go down to patient address. A few things here. If we imported the patient into the last screen, it will also import their address. Or you can also make it easy and say, most of the time, obviously not most of, but a good amount of the time, we're going to patients' homes to treat them. If the run is at the location of their home, you can hit this and it will pre-populate everything you put in on page 1. Okay. So let's get back here. We need to determine if they're a resident or non-resident. Obviously, there's an option for we have no idea. We got them off the street. They're homeless, things like that. You can use that. But we most of the time want to determine resident, non-resident. I will tell you, if you are a new employee watching this training video, please rely on your partner. Please rely on your partner who has a little bit better of an understanding right now to select this. This is going to facilitate how this person is billed for their EMS run. Okay, so if they are a resident for this demonstration, we selected OBET, so that is a resident. And that is going to ensure that they don't receive subsequent bills beyond our insurance collection. So we're all blue there. Let's keep moving down. Assessment. Okay, so I am not here to tell you how you are supposed to EMS. That is that everybody does things a little uniquely. There may be expectations of your shift officers. I will show you kind of how I do things. It doesn't mean you have to do these things as simple as the same way I do. What I will say in general, the more documentation, the better. So skipping over things, there is a time and a place where maybe not all of this needs filled out. But in general, the more you fill out, obviously, the more thorough and really covered you are in case something turns south. So we are in our assessment tab, first sub tab, chief complaint. What did they tell you was wrong? Shortness of breath. They couldn't breathe. Duration. And I'm not going to fill out all of these things, but I'm going to show you all of the things that are available to you. So duration of complaint, time units. So is this, you can put 4. Was it 4 days, 4 hours, 4 minutes? What was it? Okay. So we would take that off. And then we get into stuff that is should be fairly familiar from if you have worked with EMS reporting software in the past. This is your symptoms, impressions, onsets. So at 0800 today, my shortness of breath started. Where did it start? Or where? It's in my chest, and it is a respiratory issue. What is the symptom? Some of these you can kind of piggyback to make it more complete. I do believe, if there was something else respiratory in here, shortness of breath could be a lot of things. You guys are probably watching me skip over some right now, but well, let's just move. Associated symptoms, if there are any. He's short of breath. Well, if he's been trouble breathing, he might be dizzy. And what is my impression? So this is what I think is going on with them. So after my thorough assessment and asking the appropriate questions, I learned that they have COPD, and this is most likely an exacerbation of their COPD. A lot of times, this doesn't need to be necessary. You can select this little symbol here and click not applicable. We move on. You can navigate also by these tabs, or there is this next button. All right, here we go with history. So obviously, you want to record their medical history. That's what they tell you is wrong with them. And then if it's not on the list, there is an option here to free type. Who'd we get the history from? Do they have advanced directives? Did we get a copy of the advanced directive? Injury information. This is exactly what it says. If there's an injury, this is the place for injury information. Now, I want to show you something. It's not red. If you notice, it's not red. See this? That turned red. As soon as I said there was a possible injury, the injury turned red. Okay, so we'll come back to that. This is the page that, well, I'll just go through it. We're not going to change the whole dispatch complaint. So we want to know, were they transported to a trauma center, right? We really have very little reason not to take any traumas to trauma centers. We have access to trauma centers at Mount Carmel East, Grant, OSU, Riverside. There is more than enough trauma resources in Central Ohio. If we needed to divert because things were going south, if they told you, I don't want to go there, you are going to take me to Ohio Health OBETS and I will go nowhere else. Well, that is their right, and we will select why. This is why we didn't go. And then there's these other options. What was the mechanism of injury? Blunt, burn, penetrating, other. And this is your trauma triage criteria. If you've worked in EMS before, you are well aware that these lists here are they're pretty wild. A lot of times you can't find something that directly reflects what you're trying to get it to say. I would say a common one, and I want you to see that there's a free type function here. So what that means is instead of reading all these words, because there's a lot going on here, you can type in words. Okay, so well, let's go back to this field. This is really probably the most difficult one to find what you're actually looking for. So you can type things. So let's take this MVC car occupant. We're scrolling through here. It's been a long night. I just can't find what I'm looking for. You can come here and type MVC. Well, there's everything with MVC, car occupant. Or we can say, let's look at auto. No, vehicle. Crashing a motor vehicle. A lot of these can be, a lot of them are interchangeable, in my opinion. And this is information that gets reported to NEMSIS, the National EMS, similar to NIFRS. So let's clear that out. And then your trauma triage criteria. And we can talk about that more in personal training. Accident information. This is good information. It is, in my opinion, that is probably underutilized. We do not require it, but again, a very good tool when you have an auto accident. You can say, where was this patient in the car? What were they using as safety equipment? Where in the car was the vehicle impacted? Major, minor, moderate damage. Did the airbags go off? All of this good stuff. And you can see this is easy to. It doesn't take long to click through these. So again, I go back to the more information documented, the better. But those two they don't apply to this demonstration, but I just wanted to go through and show them to you. So we came from here, and the next red was down here. So this, to be honest, as of today, the 19th of October of 2023, I don't know that this is still required. We were collecting data on COVID through those years. So it is still on here and required on our report. I don't know how long it will be, but it will be probably for the foreseeable future. I can tell you this. Who are we to say now, if they're suspected, sure. And if maybe they test positive, sure, but who are we to say that it absolutely was not a factor? My personal opinion is I usually go with unknown. Was there a cardiac arrest? Was there a possible injury? Again, highlighting the injury tab. Was there a stroke? And there is this little area for a stroke. Notice it did not turn red. To me, that is just an oversight in the formatting right now, and we will look into getting that because it does make sense that if I say there was a stroke, it should make me fill out stroke information. And alcohol drug use indicators. Usually, so for this, these are all positives in alcohol, or yes, they are drinking, they are doing drugs. Most of our patients are not. We just select not applicable, and it will take care of that. Work-related injury. Medications. So, as of the day of this recording, we actually had a conversation yesterday about this update. This is one of the few functions of the system that we do not have control of. This is imported from their level. We can't access or change this. So we need to probably do an update on it to push in and take out maybe new meds and old meds that aren't applicable anymore. We took it out just for additional information. We took that update out because it was such a large file, and you will see when you sign in first, your device may take a few minutes to sync, and you will notice that it is syncing resources and you can't do anything until it's done. This was a very large file that was making the sync take a long time. So we turned that function off. So medications, right? Okay. Allergies, things of that nature. And assessments. You can go through and do your physical assessments one by one. You can see there's your skin assessment. Where'd that go? And this would, these come important depending on your run type, right? These, you can see this is all down. All of these should be filled out for every trauma. But you can select what's applicable to your run. We're going with difficulty breathing right now. So here's a lung assessment. This one would be applicable to our run. They're wheezing. They have COPD. And you don't necessarily have to fill out every field within this assessment. Labored breathing, but the exam of the chest maybe is not super applicable based on the information you have. So no, you don't have to fill out every one of these to fill out an assessment. So we'll get rid of these ones that, well, this one is applicable, right? If we're having trouble breathing, we might be hypoxic. We might have okay. So moving on. Cardiac arrest. This one should, let's go back and test it. When we go to, if we select this, yes, it did. It turned cardiac arrest tab red, similar to the injury information. So now we want to fill out all the things with cardiac arrest. So now, and I do believe that this form is fairly similar on, this is a NEMSIS thing that should be on most EMS reporting systems. But in line with our demonstration here, yeah, they arrested because of a respiratory problem. Let's say we witnessed it. We initiated CPR. CPR prior, no. AED use, no. And if all of you can select all of these things with what happened with the CPR attempted by EMS tab. We defibrillated them, we ventilated them, we chest compressed them, and we got ROSC. The type of CPR provided. Okay, so this is really where we need to pay attention to the details, and it is easy to lose the details. So, what did we do? I can tell you that the first thing, it should be, looking for manual compressions, and I don't know why that's not there, but you want to select everything that you did. So let's say I'm going to look into this further. I apologize. I thought there should be something that says compressions manual. So let's just for a moment say that's what that is. But then throughout the arrest, we put them on the auto pulse, which is an external band type device. So now it's recording everything we did, which is really the appropriate way to do it. We select their rhythms, all of these things. And again, we can fill in all of these things. And in a run like a cardiac arrest, these are the runs that should be heavily, heavily documented. We can record the time we got ROSC, all of these things. Why did we stop? Why did we stop? Right? Well, in this case, we stopped CPR because we got ROSC. Oh, when did we stop it? And the end of the EMS cardiac arrest event was ongoing in the ED. Or whatever is applicable. Okay, here we go. Another blue tab. Billing information. This is something that please do your best to select the appropriate level. But I will tell you that this is something that is also monitored and looked at on the billing end with the billing company. As part of their job, Their job is to collect money and as much money as they can for us in an appropriate manner. So she has told me that they look at this specifically because they're doing everything they can to get us to a level 2 if they can appropriately, because ALS level 2 makes more money. I shouldn't say makes more money, costs more money than a level 1. So what are the differences here? You have BLS, ALS1, ALS2. BLS is, if you could have, think of it this way, a BLS run, if you could have handled this whole run with 2 EMT basic, so very basic life support things, splinting, oxygen, you didn't do anything that required a higher level of care than an EMT basic, that is a BLS run. In ALS1, this is going to be where you live a lot of the time. This is your run that has basic paramedic level skills done. So what I mean by that is the moment that you penetrate their skin with an angiocath, regardless of whether you were successful in the IV, this has now become an ALS run. Okay? Now, like I said, you're going to live here a lot of the time in ALS1. ALS2, the easy way to think about it, ALS2 are the ones that go to hell in a handbasket, pardon my language. With that, so your cardiac, or anytime you do any of these skills right here, automatic ALS2. Okay. Your cardiac arrests, automatic ALS2. Why? Well, we probably intubated them. We probably defibrillated them. So the other ways we get to ALS2 are by administering at least 3 separate administrations of one or more medications, with the exception of IV fluids. Now, I do believe that this should also say oxygen, because oxygen is a BLS drug. So fluids don't count as a med, and oxygen I don't believe counts as a med. But if you give, let's say, albuterol. I'm sorry, no, excuse me, I'm incorrect. IV means this is IV administration meds. So with that, let's say maybe we give them 2 vials of Narcan on an overdose, and then they get IV Zofran afterwards. That is now an ALS2 run. So, if again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, because while we need you to do your best to accurately record it, it is being monitored, or at least looked at on the back end at the billing company. So we will select ALS1. Blue, transport info. This is where things can start to go a little quickly towards the end here. So where'd we go? We went to Grant. It populates all of these things. This is Grant's demographic information. I guess geographic. Disposition info. Why did we choose Grant? Well, that's where the patient wanted to go. Obviously, we know these. You have all these options. What was their acuity? Well, they were breathing pretty hard. This was a respiratory run. They were emergent. Final patient acuity. We gave them some medicine, made them feel better. They're green. This is really a subjective piece of data. What maybe is emergent to you is not emergent to me, and vice versa. But in general, you can pretty easily fit somebody into one of these categories. And hospital team activations. What is this? This is, I call it a sepsis alert, a trauma alert, a cardiac arrest. I call it a STEMI alert. And we want to record when we activated those. Okay. Next. Transport information. Again, I do believe NEMSIS. I think I've seen these questions on every EMS software I've ever used. How we move them to the ambulance? Stretcher. How are they seated? Most of the time we're semi-foul, right? Sitting up. We do not need people to walk into the hospital, so they get taken in on the stretcher. That's pre-populated for you. Now, if they get up and say, I'm walking in, obviously you can change that. There's also sometimes where people don't necessarily want to go on the stretcher, but they'll agree they'll sit in a wheelchair. Those wheelchairs could be sitting out in the bay at Grant. Again, accurate documentation. How do we transport them? Did we have lights and sirens or not? Was it emergent? We'll say no. We didn't respond, and we didn't use lights and sirens. Let me touch on this. Patient belongings. If the patient has any belongings, you should record them. Now, do we use this function all the time? We do not. Is there a time and place that you absolutely want to use this? Absolutely. There are times that we have run into firearms, and maybe it's an auto accident. They're out in the public. We can't just leave their firearm behind. We will. This is a good place that you can record that firearm. There's another procedure for when you get to the hospital. That is for a different conversation in safely handling and passing on that firearm. But patient belongings, if you wish to record what they have, by all means, please. Signatures. Okay. So let's talk about signatures. Different dispositions will require different signatures. Okay. It is always going to require your signature. Okay. Every run, your signature. We also want to get the patient's signature. And again, we can import their name from the first part of the report. Ironically, I'm treating myself on the way to the hospital. And then we always want a nurse's signature. It usually looks like that. So, what other signatures do we need? Now, if the patient is unable to sign or they're unwilling to sign, we can use this. We can sign for them if that's the only option left. For a while, this is what we were utilizing during the pandemic to keep things decontaminated as best as we could. But there are times that their mental status it won't allow them to sign. There are times that maybe they are injured and they can't use their extremities to sign. Sometimes maybe you get a combative person that says, I'm not signing your computer with some other choice language. So there's different options here to choose. If that's the case, this is just documenting that, yes, they can't sign. It's not so much signing for them. You're signing, acknowledging that they couldn't sign for whatever reason. What else can we sign here? A juvenile or a child cannot sign for themselves. Obviously, we would want mom or dad or guardian's information, and we would like to record who they are. And if there really shouldn't be somebody that would make you select other, but I guess there could be. Select who they are, what their name is, and have them sign. Okay, so we're satisfied over here, yeah? Now watch this. We'll get to that later. Okay, narrative. I'm not here to teach you how to write a narrative. That is something that it takes practice, and you have to find your own way. But as soon as we type the first character, that turns blue. So you can type whatever you want. Your whole narrative. So where are we at here? We're down to one red tab that says nippers, a little bit of red over here, and it looks like we're good. So Now is a good time to draw attention to this down here, this validation score. Most people interpret it as a percentage. It's not necessarily a percentage, but because different things have different scores, but sure, you can think of it that way. That's perfectly fine. So we still have some things to do. So A, times. Now, good time to say this NIFRS tab, please make this the last, very, very, very last thing you do. Because you want to pull over as much information that is required as possible. And if I were to start the NIFRS now, you would see that the times wouldn't import because I haven't put times in yet. So just make this the last thing that you do on your EMS report. So let's jump over here to times. So arbitrary numbers, but you can see that with are treated and transported, it required all of these times. Now, these red times would adjust based on your disposition. So if you chose, for instance, patient refused care, obviously we didn't go to the hospital or arrive at the hospital or transfer care at the hospital. So these things will go away, or at least not be red. The only time that you really need to pay attention is around the midnight hour. You can get yourself backwards right here. If the run started at, or if you're starting the report at 12:30, the run happened at 11. You can just make sure you're paying attention to these dates and that they're accurate. Okay, that red is gone. You will notice that we jumped all the way up. Just those times took us from 81 to 97. So we're getting there. Mileage. This is something that needs to be accurately recorded by the driver. I will tell you that most of us have seen that it is common practice. The driver forgets and we guess. I am here to tell you that if Medicaid finds out about that, they're going to take a whole lot of money from us if they find that we are misrepresenting the miles we take. So what I like to do, if the driver did not get my miles for me, is go to Google Maps, type in Grant Medical Center or wherever you went. It'll say you can get directions and put in the address of the run, and it will tell you exactly how many miles you had to travel. Okay. So now we're all good over here. NIFRS, I can tell you, is only 1%. So that's only going to get us to 99. Why aren't we done? It's because we have to at least do one set of vitals. At least. And I'm not saying operationally, Hamilton Township, I'm saying this system is going to require you to do one set of vitals. You will hear this throughout your orientation and training, but I will say it here too. During a transport EMS run that you take somebody to the hospital, our medical director requires that you have 2 full sets of vital signs. So this is somewhere that you can add vital signs. Okay, so let's back up and do that again. Where did I find that? Let's talk about this whole right side column now. And we're going to start with these buttons right here. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And then there's one that says all. That's going to open it all up. So this is where we will go to add meds. This is where we'll go to add procedures. This is where we can go to add everything that we do EMS wise. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to import vitals here in a moment. But if we need to add our manual set that we did, or for whatever reason, maybe the engine company was there first and they got you a set of vitals, we can put the information in. Oh. Okay, I'm glad I did that. I just showed you a hiccup in this. There is a fault in this system, and I just did it. So I messed up, and no matter what I put here now, I have confused this, and I can't select my method of measurement. So when that happens, I just start over real quick. Let me show you what I did. Vitals. Just know, let's start again. This defaulted to 904, which if you look at, it always defaults to when we arrived at the patient. So I will talk about the timeline here in a minute and how powerful of a at least visual tool this is. So again, 120. So what I did was I hit tab. It automatically tabbed for me after I hit 3 characters. Okay, now I can select, we did a manual auscultation of it. Pulse was 80. I'm kind of deviating from my predisposed run type here, but and then we get into entitle some additional things. If you did not do it, now obviously we know the vital signs: blood pressure, pulse rate, respiratory rate, SpO2. Their end title, we may not do an end title on everybody, right? In a respiratory run, we probably should. But maybe on the first set, when we first got there, we didn't have end title going yet. We didn't get that going until we were in the truck, so it's not going to be applicable. Let's say we had 0 concerns with the information of sugar, so we didn't take it. The temperature, we didn't need to take. This isn't a pain type run, so we're going to say not applicable. And then their level of responsiveness and GCS. So please select the appropriates. To think this EMS run should make sense from front to back. So if my narrative says he was lethargic and when things happen, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to say, oh, yep, he was alert and GCS 15 the whole time. And a lot of people can get in the habit of just clicking real fast and click, 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 and go down and move past those. So please reflect these appropriately. And then there are some that things down here are not required. How were they when they did this? Or when you did these vitals, were they sitting up? Were they standing? Were they laying down? Not required, but good. And then you can, right, let's say this was the engines. These vital signs happened prior to us getting there. Okay. Now, you will see that we are at 99 because all we have left is the NIFRs. Now, it is not going to require you to add any meds. It doesn't know if you gave meds or not. So you can go back here and you can add your meds, you can add your EKGs, and I will show you the import that kind of ties the EKG and those things together. Let's look at this timeline, though. This timeline is going to populate in chronological order every step you have taken that you have inputted into this system. So it goes so in depth that if you remember the symptom onset, I said they started having trouble breathing 0800. That's on there. They called 911 at 9. Now here's all our times. Now, we still have that on there. I never unchecked that. That's why that's on there. And then, what did I just do with did I not save my vital signs? Sorry. Now we had vital signs pop into the timeline at the appropriate place. Now, let's show you the meds. And I'm not going to go through all of these procedures in this because we can make a 4-hour video of this. You'll have plenty of time to play around with this and do some mock reports. But I want to show you the meds because it does affect another portion of the report. So, we're going to give albuterol. We're going to fill out all the appropriate fields in here. Let's make it make sense on our timeline. Your med has showed up on the timeline. But what did that do? It also turned signatures red. because now it is requiring a medication administration signature. I am signing for that med that I just gave. It is only going to require one medication signature for, it doesn't matter if you gave 1 or 9. We are basically signing all at once saying, yep, we gave meds on this run. I know some EMS systems have a signature for every med. This one is going to encompass all of them. Okay, so let's talk about quickly importing. So these banners at the top, obviously, if you pay attention, you will notice this activate often, or it's constantly saving your work. But you can always hit that and it'll save where you're at. This is what we're going to use at the end to post it and say we're finished. You shouldn't have to worry too much about print or PDF, but EKG, this is the big one. If you open up EKG, these are all the vital signs that have been transmitted to the cloud for downloading into your EMS report. There is only so much room, but it should always default to the day that you're on. You'll notice I'm recording this on the 19th. The last ones were the 16th, but I know that Medic 171 has been sitting out of service for a while. So I am going to show you something that is going to completely screw up this report, and I will explain why. So let's just say that this was our vital signs. We're going to download with that down arrow. It is going to populate and pull from the cloud because we sent them to the cloud from the Zoll monitor at the end of the run. And it is going to import it in. Now, what happened? We're all out of whack. So this was at 7:17 in the morning on the 16th of October. So in a perfect world, these would show up down here in chronological order as they were timestamped from the Zoll monitor. Okay. So they will always require more information than you're able to import. So you're going to have to open each one and tell it certain things. Okay. This particular run didn't have, it captured the pulse rate and the blood pressure. It did not capture the SpO2 or the respiratory rate. One interesting thing about the Zoll monitor is it can calculate the respiratory rate based on your SpO2 and 3-lead. Just be careful because there are times that is not a perfect function, and a lot of times your respiratory rate will say 72. So just make sure it makes sense. Okay. So all of these things, the GCS, the AFPU, the pain scale, all those still need filled out or declined. And that doesn't happen with the import. So you will have to open each set of vital signs to complete them. So with that, I'm going to delete these two to get them away from here so we don't have red. And what this would also do, if you did an EKG on this run, it would bring the EKG in. Now, I do know that a lot of systems will show you the EKG in the form. Ours does not trust that it is there. It is there, and I'm giving incorrect information. There is a way to see it. So it will bring in an EKG, and what it will do is you'll see when you download, it'll create in this assessment tab, it will create this EKG or ECG subtab. You need to go in there, and this is where you would actually see the 4-lead. I believe it's a 12-lead, maybe doesn't populate on here. I could be wrong about that. My memory is failing me, but it is there. The point of that was it is attached to the actual report if somebody were needed printed or submitted somewhere, and when it goes to billing. So, but you would open this up right here. You would see a rhythm strip, okay, and then you would select what you interpreted it as, and hit OK, and then it would satisfy all of these colors again. So Why that just took a minute to catch up, but that fixed itself. So what I'm going to say next is rather important. And if I confuse you, I apologize. If we import a 12 lead EKG, there is a procedure. That procedure was logged. If it is a 4 lead, I think I'm going to have trouble doing this without actually having one imported, but if it is a 4 lead that you import, it'll bring in this med device. So you always see 2 lines for any EKG, the med device import and the actual procedure. If it is a 4 lead, it does not automatically create a procedure like a 12 lead does. You will see ECG med device. What you would need to do is come over here to ECG and add it and make sure it says, so it defaults to 12 lead. You need to say, no, this was a 4 lead. Hit OK. Then a procedure pops up. Okay. Or it's right here. A procedure. And it's also saying, well, if you did the procedure, what the hell is it? So we select the appropriate things. Okay. So now that is there is more you will learn. Those are the basics. That is a basic, fairly deep dive into the functionality. You will have ample time to play around with all of these tabs and how you put in IVs and IOs and all of these different options for procedures and medications. But we're at 99. And now we want to go ahead and complete a NIFRS, okay? So I am going to end this video now, and I'm going to create a second one because we're at an hour now. I'm going to create a second one with NIFRS, but to wrap this one up, I'm going to show you what it looks like to jump over to NIFRS and complete a very quick EMS NIFRS report. And then I will have another video that goes into a deep dive on the NIFRS system. So right here, you click this tab, right, generate NIFRS. Now, if you paid attention, you saw it change to 100 before it switched this over. So now it kicked us into a completely new report. So it brought in the run number, the address, the postal code, brought in the times. It is authorizing it. The authorization of this report is made by the EMS person making the report. So let's start from the beginning here. So a lot of it's filled out. Once you get somewhat proficient at this, a basic EMS NIFRS report takes a matter of seconds. I will take just a little longer to show you. So here's what you need to fill out. The tax district. Again, please rely on your partner for this until you have a solid understanding of what's what. There are different tools that we will discuss in your orientation to differentiate the different zones that you may be in. But you select your run. OBETS, where was it? We were at a street address, and NIFRS and NMSIS require, they're 2 separate entities. They require different information. So weird things like this, street address intersection, as to where the EMS one said something to the, was it a single family residence or workplace, apartment, things like that. 123 Main Street. This is already pre-filled in. Incident info. We have created some quick buttons. These quick buttons will fill out a lot. This is the magic screen that takes a lot of the work out of NIFRS. So there are a lot of different options. We're going to go with ALS with transport. And this is just going to say, do you really want us to apply all these values that you preset? And we want to say, yep, apply the changes. So it just did a lot of things. What that did was, when we selected ALS with transport, it selected the appropriate NIFRS code. 321 is your EMS call. We said it was an ALS run, so we provided advanced life support. What additional actions did we take? We transported them. Now, watch this screen, or watch this area of the screen when we change that. BLS with transport. Okay, still the same code. We provided basic life support and we transported them. What about a non-transport? Okay, still an EMS run. Emergency medical services, other, and this is a general way of saying we checked them out. We checked for injury. We did some EMS, but it wasn't advanced or basic life support. Are we finding? Did I find a problem right now? I think we did. Yes. So we found a problem. Our turf button is still saying we took the action of transporting them, so that will need corrected. And this property use, this can be a tough thing to use. We have it tandemed with the EMS report, so we chose single family residence. So we've married single family residence on the EMS side and 1 or 2 family dwelling on the fire side. So it merged it. It's not like it brought it over exactly, but it knew what it needed. Okay. Moving on, Hamilton Run. And notice all of this has already been, all of this is blue, and I'll show you. A lot of it was imported, a lot of it was auto done when we selected that button, but we need to tell them about what happened here with us, them, Columbus Fire, Madison. So we need to answer some simple questions here. And please just get used to these by reading them for what they're asking. Other Hamilton equipment dispatched, yes or no? Simple question. Well, we said engine 171 was with us? Yes. Did another fire department arrive on the scene? Yes or no? So, no, we didn't have anybody from the outside. And that is going to, we have created some formulas to now answer some very confusing NIFRS questions about mutual and automatic aid. Okay. You just need to answer these 2 questions. Okay. So let's go back. Let's say they did arrive on the scene. So we utilized some aid. So everything we do is automatic because we are automatically dispatched by Columbus Fire. And as we talk in person, I can explain some differences between mutual automatic aid. And now we just need to who was it? Who came to help us? Okay. Columbus Division of Fire is always a good one, multiple times a day. And don't worry about this. So you can see all these. Now, why are all these blue? Let's click through them just to show you. The times came from the EMS report. That came from the EMS report. This is a very simple auto narrative we have for NIFRS. Now, right? We don't use auto narratives. Obviously, in EMS, we need to write detailed narratives on patient care. NIFRS is not, it becomes important with fire-related incidents, auto accident-related incidents, that we put things where more than EMS occurred. Your narrative is more important. But for a simple EMS run, we are just recording this incident with NIFRS. Not a lot needs to be said. So we've created these for several of those quick button dispositions. Several of these have these pre-populated simple narratives. Okay. Obviously, if it's one that doesn't have a narrative or you didn't use that button, nothing will be here and this will be red and you will need to type a narrative. Okay. So let's go. Now we need to add the apparatus. So our apparatus is already there because that came from the EMS report. Okay. So what we need to do though is open it and we need to hit update primary apparatus action. Okay. Or you can change if you need to. All right, now I'm going to show you, this is where sometimes you're going to need to use your brain and be very thorough. Okay, let's exit out of this truck. So we're back here. All of this is blue. Everything's blue. Why are we at 99? Why are we at 99? That's because we said other Hamilton equipment was there. So another quick tip, you can click on this when this is red and anything less than 100, you can open this and it will list everything that still is an issue. You can use a shortcut to take you right to it. Or you know what it means and you go over to apparatus and we need to add somebody. We need to add the engine. Okay, so This is where accurate and thorough documentation, this is one of those easy left turns that we don't want you to make. It is very easy to just hit this button because we're used to hitting that button. Okay. And maybe that's appropriate. Maybe they were there with you. A very common thing is that an engine gets canceled. Okay. So if an engine gets canceled, well, that's not now accurate. They didn't provide emergency medical services. They were canceled en route. So that needs to be theirs if that's appropriate. What else does that mean? That means all these pre-populated times need adjusted because this came from the EMS report. And it automatically applied it to the whole NIFRS report and each truck. So what do we need to do? Well, we didn't arrive. We just said we were canceled. Okay, so we were dispatched. None of these times are applicable, except the clearing in service. And these need changed, okay? The medic cleared an hour after the run. The engine got canceled on the way there. So this is going to accurately reflect the engine run, okay? So this really needs to be paid attention to closely, okay? With that being said, this came directly from our device that we set up at the beginning of the day. This engine is set up in the NIFRS, that heartbeat, that command center central location of our whole elite that I will show you in a little bit. We set the roster at the beginning of the day. If the officer does not set the roster for the day, the last crew that was recorded, again, remember this thing holds memory when you make selections like this. So this could be yesterday's crew. Please pay attention to this. If it is yesterday's crew, you're going to need to edit it. You can either delete all these people, or you could go in here and just change who it is. I'm looking at the officer right now. We can change who it is. And then we can do all that for all until we have the appropriate people. What I would suggest to you in this moment is if you notice that it is yesterday's crew, I would bring it to the attention of your officer to see if he can update the roster. Otherwise, you're going to have to continue doing this for every run you have the engine on with. So make sure he updates that roster, he or she. If that roster gets updated, so please, this is a hard thing to coordinate every single morning, but what you need to do in the event of, let's get out of here and so I can show you. So you ran into that just now and you said, hey, Cap, can you update the daily roster? Yeah, sure. And they do it. Okay, what you need to do now, before you do it again, I'm not saying doing it right this second because we fixed it, but before your next run, you need to sync your resources. And I am having trouble. I don't know why it's not here. There we are. Under settings, hit sync all resources. And what this is doing, this is going to pull, pardon with me, I'm going to plug my computer in real quick. This is going to pull the information from the elite hub that your officer just updated the crew with, and it just brought everything out from the cloud down to your device. So that now today's engine crew would show up. Okay, so let's get back in here. Notice I exited, it took me back to my EMS report. I'm going to show you how to, toggle these. So we were over here in our NIFRS. We're good now. We've completed 100%. We made sure that these were the correct people. We made sure that the appropriate times correlated to what actually happened with them. And we can exit out of the trucks. We're at 100. This NIFRS report is done. This little chain link right here, associated incident. So now we have married our EMS report with this NIFRS report. So we can toggle back and forth between our EMS and NIFRS. Now on your everyday run, right, the last thing you do is over here in your NIFRS. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to the EMS report. This is all good, 100%. Let me double check my work. All is good, and we are done. At this point, we are going to hit post. And it's going to go through a process here. And sometimes this may take some time. And I think this is just a product of we have a field-based, a cloud, and an internet-based software. It is kind of just syncing everything. It is sending it to the right places, and it's going to a few different lines are going to pop up here in a moment, and then it's going to say posted. Or it may say unsuccessful. If it is unsuccessful, please ask your partner about some troubleshooting. It's not common, but it does happen, and it's really more of just hiccups within the software that occasionally that happens. So, with that, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully, while I wrap this up, this will go, so I can just completely close it out. There it goes. Maybe. So we're going to have another video of NIFRS and how NIFRS works and some considerations, not when you are generally populating from a EMS report. Okay, this has posted. We're going to close the incident. We're back to our dashboard. We are ready for our next run. Okay, I hope you found this useful. Please get with the person that you are training with and orienting with, and please ask questions. Hopefully you found this useful again, and we will see you over on the NIFRS video.